very much. So many loved ones gone. You are not alone. Our pockets of resistance all around. We are at the brink. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea how important you are. Are you listening to this? You are the resistance.
No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roadblocks? No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roadblocks? They bust them on the head with closed fist and hard kicks. A bunch of night sticks trying to end this life quick. The kicks turn to stomps. They maced them and tased them. Dragged them out the car by his thread, plus the days them. Killing them, but telling us they should have got a ticket. Traffic stop, drug stop, specify which is it. With every single witness saying he never resisted. Imaginary balls and ankle sock, must have missed it. Cardiac arrhythmia, dehydration. We even heard about positional asphyxiation. The bruises and the scarring, the suffering and pain. 30 minutes past before the ambulance came. I found it all insane. The beating killed for sport. It took 5 months to get the autopsy report. The coroner, the cops, and the fucking state's attorney knew my cousin was dead before they put him on the gurney. No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who's the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roadblocks? No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who's the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roadblocks? Deceiving the public is something closer to impossible. Phony autopsy, but we know it wasn't logical. Highly improbable, undetermined manner. I like the way you doctored up the calls across the scanner. Your thinking 13 sounded staged and unfinished. Your life was being threatened, not a single fucking blemish on any of the officers involved in the murder of Tyrone West. Man, that shit is unheard of. Let's go a step further. Examine all the evidence. 10 lying cops against the truth of all the residents. Cell phone footage, live interviews. I'm extra disappointed in the puppets from the news. Afraid to dig deeper, their information shoddy. 5 whole days until my family saw his body. No statement from the cops, but they spoke with their attorney. They know they killed my cousin when they put him on the gurney. No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who's the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roadblocks? No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who's the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roadblocks? They didn't notify my family, we saw it on the news. The one that saw a green Mercedes Benz and got confused. They talking about a man dying in police restraint. She saw her tag numbers and it caused her to faint. That can't be my brother's eye, I was just with him. Not even 30 minutes before he became a victim. She had a funny feeling, kinda like a sixth sense. My back started aching, my muscles got tense. She couldn't understand all the pain she was going through. Like they ripped the soul out of his body, he was showing you everything that happened to him, transmigration. He made you feel his pain before his final destination. They took away a father, cousin, grandson, and brother, uncle and nephew, but I feel sorry for my mother, cause she became his mom when my aunt passed away. We're stronger as a family, but she cries every day. No pity. My message to the citizens committee, who's the biggest lawbreakers in the city. Full of corrupt politicians, red tape, roadblocks, criminals, no spots. What about these roadblocks? Throw up your hands like you're under arrest. Hell no. Throw up your fists like you want protest. Hell yeah. Throw up your hands like you're under arrest. Hell no. Throw up your fists like you want protest. Hell yeah.
We've been fighting a long time, and we've all lost so very much. So many loved ones gone. You are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around. We are at the brink. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea how important you are. Are you listening to this? You are the resistance.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast. That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast.
Hey people, welcome to West Wednesdays. This is the 352nd West Wednesday. I'm going to turn it over to Tawanda to introduce us.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us for West Wednesday. And just like my brother Ben said, this is week 352. And today is a very special West Wednesday, as every West Wednesday is. But today I want to acknowledge first and foremost was on this day last year when it made the 300 week of West Wednesday, and we did a big celebration of West Wednesday by partnership with the sat-in students at Hopkins, and it was real powerful. We had actually over 1,000 people on Greenmount Avenue, and we actually basically took the streets and we went over there and like to Hopkins, and the students did a wonderful job by like sitting there resisting to private police, saying no to ICE, and they also demanded accountability for my big brother Tyrone West. So that was real significant. And then we live streamed on a national level with all the different universities around the world, and it was just really amazing. So I just want to give that acknowledgement first and foremost. And secondly, if people don't know what West Wednesday is, my brother Tyrone West was brutally executed on July the 18th, 2013, nearly going on 7 years ago. And my family, my supporters, we have been nonstop for 352 weeks fighting for accountability. And unfortunately, I've been meeting so many families, people that have been on the ground way before my family even stepped foot outside, just people that newcomers. I wouldn't wish anyone into this family, meaning that if you experience police brutality, it's something that will change your life forever. And tonight I have, some special guests on here. I have my sister, and she does Every Case Matter, and she lost two of her children, so I give her homage, and she's just been fighting, and she don't just fight just for her two loved ones. She fights for everybody. And my sister always says, she says, every case matter. Her name is Ishtar, and she is a warrior queen. I have my other warrior queen, Jamal Taylor, who was executed, murdered right here in Baltimore, but in the county. I have the children of his mom on here, his 4 children, and she even had them as well here. I have my brother, Dr. Ted Sutton, like, yeah, this brother's been on the ground, boots on the ground. I had my brother Boone. I had Dre from Hopkins. I just have like a whole panel of guests that are significant. And just no further ado, I would just like to basically start off with my sister each time, like she said, every case, man. It's just not about the national cases that you heard about. And that used to bother me because before people, and some people still don't even know about my brother Tyrone West. And the victim is a big victim, whether they're on a national platform, the local. The fact that him or her was murdered is a catastrophe. It needs to stop. So no further introduction. I'm gonna bring on my sister Ishtar first, and then after her, I'm gonna bring on my other warrior queen sister, and then the brothers can take the floor from there. Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So the floor is all yours, sis. You gotta unmute yourself, sis.
Blessings and peace to Wanda. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hello? Okay. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm truly humbled to be here tonight with the other guests, and I just want to send Baltimore love. I am from Baltimore. I was actually born in New York, but all of my family is in Baltimore, so it's just a special place for me, and I feel one with your spirit there, and always will. I want to talk a little bit, and thank you again for bringing me on about Every Case Matters. In lieu of the fact that I lost 2 children, my son Jason Dixon was murdered in the Bronx, New York in 2009, and my daughter Aja Dixon was murdered in Corsicana, Texas in 2010. They were murdered six months apart. My daughter was murdered 68 miles from where Sandra Bland was murdered. And so after my daughter was murdered, just 6 months after my son, I really felt the need to fight for not just one victim, but for all victims. As a mother, it was very difficult for me to make a decision once Aja was murdered as to who do I fight for now, first or second. And it just hit me in the middle of me planning, really making preparations for her funeral, that I had lost another child, and that our children were under egregious attack globally, not just from children in my family system, but children and young people in Black, brown, and red lives all over the world. And so out of that reality for me, which was a reality check, I decided to start a foundation with 3 other families called Every Case Matters. And Every Case Matters has aspired to fight for all victims on a national and global level. Today we have 2 or 3 petitions that have garnered more than 300,000 signatures globally and nationally, asking and demanding that DOJ hold law enforcement accountable, that the federal government hold DOJ and law enforcement accountable for all lives lost while in their custody or contact. Currently, I've just returned from Ghana. I have partnered with Benin University and the University of Ghana to also link up with other families who've lost young children or family members to any form of violence. So Every Case Matters has expanded its mission and vision statement to not just fight for individuals who have been slaughtered by law enforcement or systemic oppressions, but also to fight for family members who are lost to any form of violence, or Black, brown, and red lives that are lost to any form of violence. And so currently, right now, what we're doing is we have developed a Building to Bridges Humanity program where we are trying very, very, very diligently to bring all families together across the globe that want to stand in solidarity with one another to eradicate any form of violence or an assault upon humanity. And so I'm basically stuck in New Jersey, quarantine. I'm on my way back to Dallas to pick up this fight for Aja. And in lieu of Aja's death, we like every other family member that I've met, we were not able, at least I was not able to secure any type of justice for her on the ground, nor for Jason. Both of their cases are still ongoing. And so I'm on my way back now to try to still secure her basic things like autopsy pictures, tapes of what happened to her during the time she was murdered. And yeah. So I just wanted to come on and share the story and just thank you, Tawanda, for, Tawanda, you've been like a sister, because to me, you came to Dallas when we had the first anniversary celebration of Aja's life, and I will always be indebted to you for that particular act of love, which was so overwhelming. And so when you asked me to come on and share, I just had to tonight, just to support the work that you're doing in my hometown, and to support the work that you're doing in collaboration with other families and institutions, and to stand in solidarity with you in this community. So I kind of want to close out now because I do have to jump on another call, but I just wanted to share the story and share the love, and let you know that Every Case Matters stands in solidarity with you.
Thank you, sis, and I just want to let you know I love you, and you inspire me in so many ways. Like, you're like the strongest person I know in the world. Like, just do everything. You're so beautiful inside and out. So keep the good work up. I love you, and you know we're gonna be talking after this. So
yeah,
love
absolutely.
You,
one love, one love, team. God bless. Bye bye.
Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah,
Mic
so now I would like to bring our next guest on, and she's another strong sister that's a mother, a warrior queen, and just doing everything to try to hold folks accountable who killed her children, Father. So no further ado, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic
Mic
check.
check. Mic check. All right, so
Unmute yourself real quick.
thank you.
There you go.
Peace and blessings to everyone. Can y'all hear me? Yes.
Yes, we
all
can.
Right. So peace and blessings to everyone. Thank you all for listening to our story. Thank you to Wanda for allowing us to tell our story on here on West Wednesdays. Today we're talking about Jamal Taylor, who was killed by the police out Hunt Valley. He was shot down like a dog. They don't even shoot an animal like that, the way they shot him. It was all over the news. It was a video recorded of it happening. We seen that. And the one thing that stuck out to me on the news that they said was Hunt Valley's nightmare is over. But the nightmare for me and my children aren't over. The nightmare for his mother's not over. The nightmare for the people that loved him is not over. The nightmare for the people that he protected and he loved is not over. So right now we're fighting for him, and we have to be his voice. It's not easy. it's been very emotional, especially with everything going on right now. It's been very emotional, but we're trying to fight through it. And my daughter, she wanted to say something about it.
I feel sad because my dad died.
Yes. That's what you want to say, baby?
And he didn't deserve to die because he didn't do nothing to the police.
Okay, baby. Yeah, so that's all you want to say, baby?
And we had to stand up and we had to keep on fighting for him and praying for him. And that's why I was crying around, because I was praying for him. And I was crying. And I went to mommy and I said, my brother got me, and I said, Dad, I'm crying for my dad because he died. So everybody miss him, and all over the news, and everybody miss him because they used to love him, and he used to be a soldier.
Yes, he was. So, as you can see, it's just been a very emotional journey, and we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep getting through this. With all this going on, especially through the corona, also, my brother, he's locked up, and one of his inmates, he had corona, the one next to him, his roommate. So now my brother's in quarantine and stuff, so it's just a very emotional thing. Trying to fight for justice, even though it don't exist in America, but fighting for accountability for the people that we supposed to have trusted, that, you know, that their training was good enough not to just shoot and kill anybody. So at this moment, we're still fighting. We're still fighting. Yes, baby.
And I'm sick of funerals because I want everybody to be safe, but it's not happening. I don't want coronavirus and stuff.
Okay, baby. So thank you again, Wanda, for having us on your show. I mean, you were truly inspiration. You were the first person I went to when it happened. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check. First of all, sis, I want to thank you for just being strong, and I feel so sorry. Like, your beautiful daughter just like put it on a whole nother level. They don't see the stuff that we see. You know what I mean? Like you say, they'll say, oh, the nightmare is over for this, and end of the story and shut the book. But they don't see them babies that want they fall. They don't see the pain that you go through fighting. So I just want to thank you. And you know, we here for you, and we're going to get accountability. You know what I mean? To me, like you said, it is no justice. It's just us trying to hold folks accountable. So thank you. You know, we got your back, and we're going to do this. Thank you so much. And no further ado, I'm gonna bring my brother Ed Sutton. I'm sorry, let me throw Doctor up on there. Let me throw some respect up on there. Dr. Ed Sutton.
Mic check, mic check. Well,
Mic check.
I just will say it's always an honor to be with you, sister. And I tell you, you right. Her daughter just really, you know, brought it all the way home. If a person, and to be honest with you, I work with brothers in the street. I work with the ones who have made some mistakes, and that was who I was myself. But if you can't feel the love in her heart, if you can't feel her words and how significant they are, just out of the mouths of babes, I mean, she really, you know what I'm saying, just, you could feel, you know what I'm saying, what she was feeling. And really, I guess for me, you know, to on the anniversary of what was going on with the Freddie Gray and some years ago, and it's so significant because just recently, and I think we were talking, you know, a couple days ago, and I was telling you about a young man that I ended up meeting, who really, you know, he was actually in a homeless shelter at one point when he got out of foster care. And I just felt the system had really failed this young man. And but I'd taken him into my home, helped raise this young man, you know, got him into, you know, school, you know, and everything else. But this was more recently, you know, he actually, the young man that people had talked about with him, that he was in a police shooting just recently, just now, just a couple of weeks ago now, just about a little over 2 weeks ago. And he actually, where he was living with his cousin actually got shot. and he actually had a BB gun actually on him. And the officer, when they ended up pulling up, actually they had somebody that was calling the police, but when the officer actually pulled up, they actually saw him standing, with that, because he was hoping that if the guys did come back, that he could kind of scare them off with thinking that he may have had something too. But they pulled up, his back was toward them, and they got out the car and started shooting. And one particular officer, actually the officer who has actually, if I'm not mistaken, actually has taken 4 lives before this young man. In fact, one of them, we had talked about, was a father and a son.
Mother and the son, Meg.
Together. And, and they shot him in the back. And actually, he was shot 3 times. The weapon was, he had not fired anything. And, and the man who actually was shot was actually a relative of his. And actually he ended up passing away. And I think the part that bothered me is how they just defended it, that we're still engaging with the community. To me, if you're not saying drop the weapon, and then somebody actually has time to drop the weapon, and then you can see that it's not even something that could fire a projectile. It's not something that even was a weapon. And I just watched a video, and it's so unfortunate but I saw this, and they treated someone else totally different, and a man who had shot up, the community and different things, and this wasn't even here in Baltimore, right here, but they just kept on saying, drop the weapon, drop the weapon, drop the weapon, but with this particular situation, as soon as the gentleman got out the car, he started shooting. And so I think that, we have a long way to go, that after all of the uprising, after all of the marches, and after all of the attention that was brought to Baltimore, to have the exact same thing still continuing on, where our communities are not being respected in any kind of way. And as far as the respect of just life, itself. And so, I don't normally I normally do go in and I'm talking a different way, but this is a little bit different because I helped raise this young man. And I don't think that a young man should die because he may have made a bad choice. And so my whole thing is that, we definitely gotta, do better, and we gotta hold people accountable. Because if this man has already been taking a number of lives, I think that there should be some checks and balances going toward that and dealing with that.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And I
Mic check.
just want to say something, Brother Ted, about that whole situation, because me and you personally talked about that situation, and this is what I had for you. First of all, in case people don't know what we're talking about, I brought you guys, and it's sad because you had people in the community bash me for bringing up certain things. I brought up when he first was murdered. I'm like, there was a repeat violent serial killer cat that murdered this young man. Let's say he shot somebody, all the don't know facts. Let's be crystal clear. Stop believing the television. Stop believing the media, because the media is very deadly, y'all. They twist facts. Okay, the fact is, he might have did have a weapon. Fact is, somebody did get shot. Fact is, but they kept out the closest facts that it was a repeat violent serial killer. This police officer, this killer, this maniac, this gun crazy maniac had the nerve. Not only did he kill this young man, he had the nerve to kill a father and a son, Matthew, and his father, right there on JC Block, not even 3 years ago. So every 3 years, he gets gun crazy. He wants to kill somebody. Right before that, in 2011, he killed the young man. And then he killed somebody else in 2013. Then, like I said, he turned right around killed men. So this is the 5th body that he has, and he still nothing happened. And then for me to hear the new commissioner come on and say, well, yeah, he pulled up and everything was taken care of. We're not, even though we're in the Corona-19 virus, we're taking this stuff serious. And like his officer did something. Shame on you, commissioner. Shame on the media. Shame on all of y'all. I'm gonna call all of y'all out. Shame on y'all. Until it happens to one of y'all family members, y'all not gonna know this pain. Stop believing the media. Be your own conscious consumer. Get your own facts. You know what I mean? What they did was the person that got shot, like you said, was one of his family members. But if you're just hearing this stuff, the first thing one might conclude that, oh, well, the officer is a hero. He pulled up and somebody already got shot, so the guy was actively shooting at someone and the officer saved the day. That wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. The person that tried to save the day was this young man that lived in that type of neighborhood who saw one of his family members get shot, okay? Let's be crystal clear, but like I said, it all falls down on us. Instead of you listening to the news, be your own conscious consumer, get your own facts, and that's all I got to say on that. That just pissed me off on all type of levels. It's just sad and sickening, and it's very disgusting. Mike, chat?
I just like to bring in.
Mic check.
I'm watching the comments on Facebook, and Daryl Jackson wrote in that the Maryland Law Enforcement Bill of Rights needs to be addressed and modified to bring these kinds of officers to some real justice. Someone like to respond to Daryl?
I want to say something about that. We've been fighting like every year, like for the first 3 to 4 years when my brother was murdered. We was going to Annapolis, damn near spending the night. Brother Boone was with me, like Shorty was with me. We was down in Annapolis spending the night trying to address these officers. I call them the officer killer rights. You know, it's old, it's antiquated, and it needs to be gone. But they won't do nothing because it's like a security blanket for these killer maniac cops. Because when we murder somebody, we get interrogated. But when they murder somebody, they get investigated. It's a whole different from interrogation than an investigation. And it's a whole different, and not only not the investigation, I'm sorry, they get an interview. You know what I mean? We get interrogated. If I was to murder somebody, God forbid, they will hold me all night. Oh, you did it. We know you did it. And all this stuff until I confess, until I say, look, until I get my attorney, I don't have nothing else to say. But when they killed my brother, those jokers had 10 to 14 days, and in my brother's case, they came with their attorneys 2 months later, 60 days later, after they murdered my brother, to do all 3 interviews. Two in which they sat on their own, but the 2 that they did on their own didn't count. The 3rd one that their attorneys had critiqued them on what to say and what not to say, that was the one that went on the record. That was the one that counted. So to me, it should have been gone. Mike check.
Mic check.
And I want to bring Uncle Bill. I want to bring in our brother Boone real quick. Do you have any more comments that you want us to address?
No, that's it right now.
All right. And before we bring back the Boone one, I just want to let y'all know when I met my brother Boone, like when I met him and Shorty and Pioneer and all them, when my brother first got killed, I actually thought Boone was in the tournament. Like he showed up, he had the alligator shoes on, the suit, the hat. Like y'all don't know the Boone I know. He came out. We were at, I think it was at Northeast Police Station, and he jumped out all clean with his suit on. First thing I thought, damn, I'm about to fire my attorney and get with them. But game, been out there in the foot, and I mean on the ground, boots on the ground. So no further ado, brother Boone. Mic check.
Mic check.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I got Brooklyn with me.
Hi.
I'm first of all always with Tyrone West and Tawanda. We call her, of course, Mama Tubman. You know, and salute to all the women that has actually led most of the resistance in Baltimore. Of course, we all know Tawanda been on the front ground before Freddie Gray. We talk about Anthony Anderson. We talk about fighting to bring the DOJ, which many don't know. Tawanda, Maurice Ashby, David Wiggins, Shorty, and many of those people were responsible for the Department of Justice to come to Baltimore. Many don't know that. Many of the politicians, bandwagoned off of it after the uprisings. But I'm just here to say that we have a bigger problem than we had before, and it's not just the coronavirus. The ex-offender community and the incarcerated community has been ignored for so long that y'all have a 40.5% recidivism rate. But again, Maryland statistics are so inaccurate that I would probably say 50% of your citizens have been incarcerated. And what I will say in that manner of me being a general of the incarcerated community, your city has killers, ladies and gentlemen, and y'all don't have murderers. And I just, only thing I can really say that if you never really walked with Boom or never really actually been amongst me and really do and know what I do, most of my resurrection and the work I do are with ex-offenders. Most of the work that most people know me by is only the tree of what I do, but the roots of what I do is deal with the homicidal tendency and post-incarcerated minds of Baltimore, Oakland, California, Detroit, Milwaukee. And what I'm saying to, all of us is that we are dealing with a mental illness that was created by the Maryland judicial system that was highly ignored by a lot of citizens, meaning when your son came home, you might have just took a little thought to get him a job or nothing, but you never really created, let's call it Confessions of a Felon think tank for him so that he could be able to know how to handle those post-incarceration syndrome triggers where you will see a young man get bumped into at the store and he will murder someone. That is not abnormal where I be at on the grounds of Baltimore, Chicago. That is very normal for someone to get bumped into and blow someone's brains out and have no problem with, going to jail and smoking a Lucy. And when we try to think that this is a legislative issue, or we think that we can just lock our way up with this situation at 40.5% recidivism. And again, as I stated, that's half of your city. As we talk about the ones we have lost, I will say to you that the killers of Baltimore City does not have a fighting chance to even be reformed, or in any way are they on a path of a humanitarian state. So, my sister got her brains blew out in Baltimore. I used to be in the worlds of the underworld. I know exactly what I'm speaking about. And what I say is, it takes a felon to lead a felon to the water or flames. So what happens when you do not understand the judicial system and all your son's killers go to jail, but you don't know that killer also knows case law, and you look out and your killer is right back there in your community? That's Baltimore. You got to remember, they only resolve 30% of their murders. So just as you're fighting legislative, you don't understand that. I will tell you right now, I know over 300 case laws that if I was in the underworld right now, I would be home in 10 years, and I don't care how many people that I would have actually killed. I repeat that. I have over 300 case laws right now that if I was to go anywhere in Baltimore and kill someone, I could get home in 10 years. So these are the things that many do not understand, that you have a thing called amendments. And I ask everyone like me, Tawanda, a lot of us on this feed who go in Annapolis and we battle night and day when we get there at 9 in the morning, but they will make sure that we stay there till 11 o'clock at night to make sure that's called, they make sure that our testimony do not get heard. Right now, we have a crime bill that is one of the worst crime bills in the United States that was created by Bobby Zirkin that nobody is speaking on, nobody has read it, and they don't understand that, of course, a lot of things that are going on now is because of that crime bill, and Bobby Zirkin purposely resigned after he put that crime bill in because he took the 30 pieces of silver, and it is a very Jim Crow bill. I know this. I told him to his face, thank you very much, Bobby Zirkin, for releasing more killers to me. I told him that to his face. And next thing you know, Out for Justice, which is Nicole Mundell, was asked, myself and her, to fly out to PG County and talk to the United States government because they were scared about the things that I was saying. And now they have, of course, no way nor no understanding about, again, Maryland has the highest solitary confinement rate in the United States at 8.9%. The United Nations rate is 4.9. So what are you releasing? You are releasing mentally inhumane killers. And again, the United Nations will not be able to do anything. You will not be able to take this to the Supreme Court. Only thing that you will be able to do is unionize with people like 300 Gangsters, Safe Streets, and other killers who have reformed themselves from this very diseased mind that has been placed upon us as we were kids, as it was actually a lifestyle, actually it was actually placed upon some reformed men where it looked it nice, but the whole time y'all may call it institutionalization. But at this time, Baltimore City, that's why they have no other choice, and they know what I'm speaking on, but to arrest, kill, or dehumanize the young black man. Right now in the United States, if any police throughout the Oakland, California, and the law states if any officer is fearful of a young black man, evidently everyone on this live know I am not a black person. I am a Moorish American for this sad reason, because the police can kill any black man in the United States or woman if they are fearful of their life. What is the accusations when they get on the stand? The police will say I was fearful for my life, and he will get off because they have a law that states that they can get off once they make that statement. So again, we all we got, we all we need, and we have a lot of homework in Milwaukee and in Baltimore and in a lot of states, because again, your killer in Baltimore City that killed a lot of y'all children, y'all could have actually got a class action lawsuit against the Division of Correction for, again, as I just said, this is called children to children syndrome. It starts in baby booking, and then I just gave you the making of a killer, and you actually have a lot of black politicians, a lot of black citizens, and a lack of people knowing what I just said that produces the $550 million in prison industrial complex profits every year. So again, locking young black men and women up and the killer that you're speaking on is a profit. But again, as I just told you, if I was the killer tomorrow, I could still get out. So as one go out, they always got one in, and they don't care about nobody that's on this live whose child is laying next to them in the graveyard, nor do they care about the one who releases their child to the system, because we got a bigger fight on our hands that we inherited. Everyone on this live has inherited what I'm speaking on, everything from Brother Bill, from his communist struggle, all the way down to Tawanda, all the way down to myself. I was on America's Most Wanted for the same things I speak to you today, because they do not want us to be woke. I thank you for the time allowing me to speak, but I just ask you to look to the right of your brothers and sisters when you walk on these streets, because you are not dealing with an inhumane society of people that live amongst us. We can love them, but we can only stand on a prayer to survive in Baltimore.
Mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Check. So quickly, is Bray on? Because I wanted to bring her on if she's in curious. Is Bray on Q? Because I haven't seen Bray.
Yep, I'm on.
Oh yeah, thank you. And I just want to thank everybody from the set-in. That was some real powerful stuff. Something they thought was just gonna happen one day turned to days. They did some phony, like crazy I wanted to use some potty words, but I'm gonna restrain myself. But they did a lot of nasty things, and the fact that Ron Daniels targeted me and everybody, all different coalitions for going in, standing in solidarity with the protesting thing, with the setting and whatnot. He had the nerve to reach out to my attorneys, threaten me, and saying that he was going to have something done to me if I stepped foot on the ground. So that got me hot. I was ready. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Cause if I don't take the man, them landlord threats serious, you think who the hell are you, Ronnie D? Nobody. That's exactly why I walked on to the grounds of, John Hopkins University. But thank God that night Uncle Bill told everybody to walk me out to the car because as I thought it was just a little threat about, attorney type of thing, a professional threat, it wound up being a gangster threat because it was a white racist man waiting 50 feet away from my car and he attacked me and that's how Gohar got her name, bless her heart, because she defended me, her and Opie, bless her heart. They defended me. And forever I got love in my heart for them. They put their bodies actually on the line, foot off a racist piece of crap for me. So no further ado, Dre. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, I'll echo peace and blessings to everybody, and really appreciate all the words that have been shared. Before I get on, I appreciate the space. Known Tawana for about a year, and definitely a big salute to all the organizing that's been happening. And man, like really just turning up in my neighborhood there in Greenmount. It's just like such a beautiful, really important thing. It's an essential service, so of course it's gonna keep going, no matter what. And I really appreciate being asked to tell the story of what happened about this time last year from my position. And I first just wanted to take a moment because when Tawana hit me up, I don't know why, but it popped into my head this conversation I had at the sit-in where I told somebody this story about how I was at Penn Station. And everybody's got, a lot that's happened, so I don't need to take too much time. But I was at Penn Station. I picked up my mom in the car, and I just pull out, and literally right on the corner, I look over, and there's a young woman standing there. She looks almost just like me, real pretty, makeup on, big afro, big nice dress on. Like she just, I don't know. It was early in the morning, and she just runs up to me. She goes, he's trying to kill me. He's trying to kill me. I'm like, what's going on? You good? And just like that, she jumped in the car, and I'm like, all right, well, we got to get you somewhere. What's going on? I'm driving, just trying to talk to her, see what's going on. And it was not even 3 blocks before I look in my rear view, and I see cop lights, and I just knew, like, dang, they are really, I have a feeling they're coming for me, or for her, really. So before I could figure out what to do, my car was surrounded by, like, 7 cop cars, and she freaked out. She jumped out the car, and the cop went, grabbed her, snatched her, put her in the car, and we just asked him, what's going on? They don't give us no information. They just said, oh, we was watching on the camera. We saw that she jumped in the car, and it's me and my mom in the car. It's kind of like they said they was watching, and they grabbed her, and they wouldn't give us no information, and I just wanted to elevate that story and just share a little bit more because this is just a powerful platform, and we know what's going on with young black girls that are being kidnapped, like straight up, and being snatched, and Tawana talks about it all the time, and I just told this story to somebody to sit in, and it's hard for me to process it, and they said, oh, so you're telling me that police officers literally kidnapped somebody from your care? And I'm like, you're right, I was like trying to take care of the situation. And the cop just ran in and snatched her up and wouldn't give us no information. And the thing that really connected for me is because this was my family's from the Baltimore City area, but in the city, but I only been here for a couple years, and I just had Hopkins, and when I was driving, I was asking her, where you want to go? Somebody's trying to kill you. Like, I was like, you want to go to the cops? And she said, no. So I'm like, okay, word. Well, I go to Hopkins. They have campus security. She told me she was a student at UMD. Her name's Naomi, and I just want to elevate her story. She said, I'm a student. So, okay, I'm a student. We could just take you to somewhere safe to figure it out. And just literally, right when we had decided, oh, maybe we should go somewhere where there aren't cops, where I go to school. Just like that, the cops came in and snatched, and it just really made me think a lot because I feel like people don't really understand why it's so much better that we don't have cops and at school, and that we really need to you know, it's not just that, it's like the violence and lack of accountability that goes on, and it just really just encourages more. And it, you know, it was like, you know, surrounded by cop cars, they're all just laughing, you know, and that's on top of just, you know, the straight up murder, the killers, you know, there's lots of killers going around, and some of them have a whole law enforcement officer's bill of rights that allows that to happen. And anyway, I was really asked to tell the story of the sit-in, so I'm going to get into that. But you know, it just, to me, we really got to be not only building the structures for us so we can have self-determination, but dismantling out what's going on. And it's just a lot of the words that we're saying will just make me think that. And I wanted to show I got my Harry Tubman "We Out" shirt on, because we out, y'all. Like, we ain't going back. Like, seriously, I think everybody feels that way. If you didn't feel that before, like, you know, I think that's really what linking up with Tawanda and seeing somebody just, you know, just having a sister here fighting every week really did a lot for me personally. So I just want to say thank you for the space and uplift Naomi's story. UMD College Park student. I really don't know what to do, but I just want to put that out there. So the story about the sit-in, I take a little bit of notes, trying to keep it on track. But I'll be honest with you, straight up, I was kind of beat, and I knew that bad people was going to be there, so I was like, I should probably like take it easy and like take a minute, and everybody held it down. But I heard a lot of what happened, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But all right, so a number of people had, you know, just had enough of the destruction that's going on at Hopkins, and that's just like many of us before. We decided to get organized, and Hopkins has been mercilessly, like y'all said, with what's going on in Annapolis. They just mercilessly pushed through this private police bill. You know, people just have that ability to do whatever they want and just out lobby. So I got a text message. Uncle Bill, sorry, you texted? Oh, sorry, thank you. Just something else, but I'll keep it short. Yeah, that was West Wednesday 300. Is basically what Toronto had mentioned before. We had been holding the sit-in, and I'm sorry, that text kind of threw me off. What was I in my? I didn't want to miss anything. She was talking about Ron Daniels and how he's dirty, and what he did to Tawana was really dirty. But you kind of covered that, so I'll skip ahead.
Take your time, Dre. No rush. Take your time. The floor is all yours. Take your time.
Right. So, yeah, they've been mercilessly pushing through that. And me and another someone that was coming to support the sit-in, and so we were in there, like y'all said, all day. You just learn how dirty it is, and you keep thinking like, is it worth it? We ran into Miss Nicola Out for Justice too, and you know she came up through the sit-in too. So, you know, okay, I'm sorry, y'all. So yeah, the first day of the sit-in, Tawana came through and held West Wednesday there for the rally, and you know, on that day, it really catapulted what was going on in fighting Hopkins and making that connection that this is all our fight, really. And you know, these crooked politicians all want Hopkins money, and Hopkins wants to make these backdoor deals with the government to government officials to get what they want, but they don't hold anybody accountable in the city, and it's a shame. And how the university can lobby for their own police force and know that they're getting LEOBR, this license to kill, on top of it, with no accountability, and not even that. It's only to that dirty president, Ron Daniels. It's all what he wants. During the sit-in, it was also the anniversary of Freddie Gray's murder. Rest in peace, rest in power. And the university had the nerve to commemorate that event for him while we were literally in the middle of the sit-in with Tawana here every Wednesday. You know, they don't have no time for that, but they want to have a little event for that. And, you know, now we don't hear a peep about it. And you know, come around this year at the same time, we hear that the university is currently hoarding PPE, hoarding the mask, hoarding protective material. They're hoarding houses over East. They displaced people from their homes. They rebuilt these $300 homes. They're hoarding them empty, and still to this day, construction's going on. And y'all, the environmental mess is unreal. They're not watering stuff down right. They're supposed to have given mats to people, so when they walk in the house, they're not tracking in dust and asbestos and lead, and it's deep and it's heavy. And this, you know, I'm gonna try and keep it together here, but you know,
take your time, Dre. Whatever you want to say, we ain't rushing. The floor, you know, like, yeah, West Wednesday is an open mic. Take as much as time as you want. Talk about whatever you want to cover. We ain't going by no program. This ain't the regular program. This our lives. So take your time.
I appreciate it. I really do. I just want to keep to the story, but like I said, everybody has a perspective on it, and I really hope more people really share what like Swana said, we was packing the building out just because, and a lot of times it's just like we respect ourselves. We are self-determined. John Hopkins University isn't the boss of us, so we don't go where we want, and the energy really took on, and like I said, to this day, Hopkins is, like I said, they're holding houses. They're literally making bombs at the applied physics lab, like, supporting that kind of thing and advocating for the institution. They're not going to go down to Annapolis and advocate against Bobby Zirkin, none of that. So we're not pushing them for that. We're just pushing for better system for ourselves. And a lot of the stuff you don't see on social media is the hard work that people are doing. So elevate that. And I did have a little party here about what happened where Ron Daniels was targeting Tawana, and even to have this drunk man show up, say he was with Hopkins, and we bring this all to their attention to, after the whole sitting, we have a whole meeting with them, we bring this to their attention, and they definitely don't care. So the fight continues for sure, and it's connected to this virus too, and the violence we're seeing, and, no peace from them. So just don't believe what you see in the news about Hopkins for sure. They want to boost them, but what they're doing, they're making a vaccine to profit off of it. They have these hospitals, they're not giving us PPE and houses, so they're just waiting to collect the bodies. It's evil, it's sick, and I hope someone else can tell you more about what happened at the city, but that's really what's on my mind now. It still continues, and we're still fighting, so I just say, mic check, thank you.
Thank you. Mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
And I just want to real quickly thank, Dre and all the wonderful people, the organizations for doing what y'all did. And I'm still looking back at the memories of like when Ron Daniels was having this little private session and y'all shut it right down with this little fundraiser. I crack up off of that. I love it. So we got to fight the power. I loved it at the graduation. He tried to shake your hand. I love you guys. Thank y'all. That's what you call footwork, boot work, groundwork. Thank you. Love it. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I check.
You up, Brian?
Yeah, I guess I got a little bit to say. One thing I wanted to pass along. I've got a message from a woman I know, and she's working with Ray Kelly and Citizens Policing Project and a couple churches, and they're trying to gather up masks and gloves and stuff like that people want to that they're trying to distribute to people out in the street who don't have access to this stuff. And so if you want to, if you have anything like that you can donate, it's cpproject.org. And they're collecting stuff down at St. Peter Claver, which is on the west side.
Yeah, white people broke.
So that's just a thing that's going on. I'm always talking about how it's all one fight, and I think that this is part of it, that people who can't get this this sort of equipment because it's not available in where they live, or because they don't have the money, people need to be aware of that. And then the other thing that's been on my mind lately, sometimes I get like I get struck by things from odd places. And on Saturday Night Live, Miley Cyrus was singing "Wish You Were Here," and there was a line in that really spoke to me, where she said, in that song they talk about, did they get you to trade a walk-on part in a war for a lead role in a cage? And for some reason that really struck me, because that's when I'm ready to be put in the ground, I want people to say I didn't. That's not a choice I took. I'd rather be like protester number 5 in something that means something than just the absolute monarch of my own little skull-sized kingdom. And I'd rather be out there working and trying to create something that I may never see, rather than being like the Lord and Master of everything I can buy at Walmart. This is a culture that tries to deaden us and tries to trap us and make us see ourselves as individuals rather than members of a community. And I would rather be out in the street and told to shut up and listen and take direction from women and young people and people of color, rather than like stay in my living room and have my beliefs validated every time I turn on the TV or log into Facebook. But that they make that so easy for you to just sort of wrap up and become a selfish person. And whenever I'm out talking to people, people who are activists and in movements, I'm always amazed because everybody's always got a story. Everybody who comes on West Wednesday is always going to tell you about all the great things that everybody else is doing. Everybody always says, if you say to somebody, that was a great thing you did, blah, blah, they say, oh, well, thank you so much for coming out. And I want to, they say thank you to so-and-so. And I want to thank Twanda for doing this. And I want to thank Trey for doing that. Everybody's outer directed, and that is sort of that's our strength. And I just really want to raise that up and thank everyone and tell people to keep doing that. So that's a positive note. I have one little negative note for you. It's somewhat a positive note, but now I've lost something. Hang on. Because there was only this past week only one life lost, one reported lost here in Baltimore, and so I just want to raise this victim of violence up. And so if you could just do that with me. Her name was Lillian Herndon, 72.
Lillian Herndon, 72.
Lillian Herndon, 72.
Thank you all.
Mic check,
This
mic
is a
check.
good time. I'd like to say a word. I'd like to say a word about May Day. Twan, is this a good moment? Your mic is muted, Twana.
I wanted to know if Abby and Oprah were still in queue. I saw them.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can we bring them over real fast? I can go before you share. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Tawanda. I really appreciate that. We came on a few minutes late, and actually Go Hard reminded me about West Wednesday, which is really embarrassing, but I had a meeting right before that went long, and then I knew I needed to call them, and they were like, I can't talk now, I'm watching West Wednesday, and I was like, oh, damn. So we came in like at 6:35. So I really appreciate you making the space, because I took a lot of notes tonight. And I won't because I don't want to keep people all night. But just some of, it's funny, because I've been in real emergency mode for like 6 solid weeks now, but in kind of in the best way, in the sense of working with good people and getting good things done and having important conversations. Like, it feels good, and I crowdsourced some of the masks that Ray gave away at Penn and North, and Opal and I dropped them off to him, and they were from individual friends who were sewing in their homes, and some were from, our friend J.C. Falk, who's running the Be More Community Food Project out of Parts and Labor at 2600 North Howard. So if you go to anendtoignorance.com right now, because of course Brian's right that we can't stop talking about each other, we're all wildly in love with each other. Because it's really beautiful, it's really beautiful to see Ray Kelly and J.C. Falk and Ricky Vaughn and so many other good people out on the ground, leading in the work. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. We met in a fight that was about survival, and here you are doing your best to make sure that everybody survives, because Johns Hopkins, the medical institution that has its ER entrance at a building called the Sheikh Zayed Tower because it was paid for by somebody in Saudi Arabia because it's the best hospital in the world, isn't out there handing out masks. So yeah, I was just really touched by everything tonight, and I wanted to read you a few of my notes. The law officers' Bill of Rights came up. The Killer Rights. That was really good, Tawanda. Thank you. The law officers' Killer Rights were brought up, and I'm so glad they were. So thank you for reading that comment. But it made me think of this podcast that I've talked about a few times that we're listening to right now called Revolution by historian Mike Duncan. And started back at the beginning. We skipped the English Revolution of the 1600s, but we're on the French Revolution right now. It's really wild. And he's just walking through the history of it. And we just got through the Declaration of the Rights of Man, which was like the preamble to the French Constitution when they first decided. This was before they'd even ditched the monarchy, but they just decided, let's try and make things a little bit more fair because our country is broke, because we were so lavish with the rich and neglected the poor, and there are so many riots right now because everybody's starving. So that was like the end of their empire, and they wrote this thing called the Declaration of the Rights of Man, which is a really beautiful document, actually, very clear, and profound. And one of the big things in it that they really take the time to sort of say twice in a different way, in the little paragraph where they don't with a lot of other things, like they really emphasize it, is the law is the same for everybody. It doesn't matter how you were born, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter if you're the king, like they didn't say it doesn't matter if you're a cop, but I'm sure they would have, were they living today. The law is the same for everybody, and so law enforcement officers having a Bill of Rights, which is in our Constitution, having their own separate Bill of Rights is an incredibly important topic to bring up, and I'm really glad it was brought up, so thank you. I really appreciate Boom for telling the truth about incarceration, recidivism, trauma, and the permanent underclass, the new Jim Crow, the modern day slavery that is the prison system, and it's what was it? I took the note on this too, $550 million per year in profits. Numbers are great, thank you. And I just wanted to say to Boom, I really appreciate knowing more of your story, and Dre as well, for that matter. Like the things that you've been through, that put you in the place where you are, because in both cases, I've always really respected and enjoyed you, but it's great to get to know you better. So again, Tawanda, and same for the, for the women, for the mothers who shared. Thank you so much for bringing them on, Tawanda. That was incredibly powerful, and thank you to the children as well. There was a lot of talk about state politics, about Annapolis, and I really appreciated that because I've gone through a little bit of that now, and not in the same field at all, in a much, chiller field in its way. And it is fucking terrible, and they do keep you from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. while they get paid, and you just have to, somehow do this? And I'm working with high schoolers, who are going to Annapolis, and they're just toughing it out, and they're, running out to get Chipotle and, running back just in case it moves faster than they thought, but no, it's still going to be another 2 hours, and they're hanging out because they really want to talk and tell their story. The state system, we don't pay enough attention to, We pay some attention to local politics. We should pay more. We have a primary coming up on June 2nd. We had an election yesterday for Elijah Cummings' seat that Jill Carter ran for, and she has been a champion of things like ending the law enforcement officers' Bill of Rights and a lot of other really important nuts and bolts things that would need to happen legislatively. Only she, in a lot of cases, has been championing, and one example is local police control, right? So that's in the Community Oversight Task Force report that came out after the Department of Justice consent decree that we are supposed to be under. So these are supposed to be, hey, this is what we're doing. And this was after, of course, the death of Freddie Gray. And so, you know, there's all these posts. I made one of these posts where we're like, what's changed, you know? Nothing. And it's just so real, though. So local control, Jill Carter put in this year literally because I asked her. Because we asked her. Because Baltimore for Border Justice asked her. And our people, many of whom are in this group, and others who are, you know, in spirit but not here tonight, wrote letters and did calls, you know, but she was happy to do it. She didn't need all that convincing. There were people who stepped up and were more so pushing the opponents, which include the state Senate President, Bill Ferguson, from Southeast Baltimore. And so I got to keep lifting that up if we're going to talk about state politics, because it didn't pass this year. It was never gonna, you know, from what everybody said, even though it was so close to passing last year and passed the House of Delegates of Maryland unanimously. Still, it was never going to pass because, what, Bill Ferguson doesn't like it? Because Antonio Hayes doesn't like it? Because Corey McRae doesn't like it? And they won't clearly explain why. It's something about money, as if the way to save money is to keep this system of incarceration and recidivism going. Yeah, so I'm pretty mad about that. Dre, that story you told about Naomi, I would love to talk to you more about it. You know, I haven't been writing, but I want to start again. And that's the story, you know, to tell. Yeah, I'm talking about JHU's ability to just brutally push this bill through and be an institution, you know, that doesn't pay taxes, that takes up all the best land in the city, and, hoarding houses. Such a good line. We've been talking a lot, Opal and I, about housing, you know, because it's so fundamental to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But like the first part, the light part, as we're being political tonight, so let's use our political language. We're Americans. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our constitutional rights are being trampled on in that we are being denied life. And I don't mean me, because you can see I've got this lovely stone wall. You know, I'm cool. But all of our brothers and sisters, you know, on the street, and Opal and other people working with people like JC and so many others, it's scores and scores others to continue to use old-timey language. It's so many people delivering food right now, and so Opal's been delivering food to the homeless, you know, with Baltimore Clubhouse, and with Be More Community Food, and with Mirror Kitchen. And I gotta call all them out, because it's, you know, it's literally life and death work that, again, you would think some kind of institution maybe would step up and do, and there are, I can't get, anyway. I was really glad that APL got called out, because that's real. Applied Physics Lab, when Johns Hopkins, and I haven't read the book, The Ghosts of Johns Hopkins. I don't know anything about Johns Hopkins as a person, except that he had a funny first name with an S on the end. And he was a merchant, I guess. But when he set out to create a university for the teaching of medicine and a hospital that would serve all sorts of people, do you think that he was thinking of applied physics? Do you think the applied physics lab was on his radar? And what a beautiful phrase. This is why sci-fi is so good. Because it gives us a framework to be like, oh, that's a 1984 type phrase. Right. Applied physics, you know? That's a euphemism that a dystopian government would use. And I know that because sci-fi is written by people who are paying attention and asking questions. But it sucks that we live in that world. Oh, and I actually, it's just private notes, you know, except for this phone call. But I actually quoted you here. They're just waiting to what? Collect the bodies? Because that was a very good line. I really appreciate, Bill, that you raised up the Citizens Policing Project program to distribute masks, because that needs to be supported. That needs to, you know, I read an article weeks ago that Hopkins was like using some Amazon warehouse to have volunteers create mask after mask after mask after mask. And, you know, and Ray Kelly is out there at Penn and North distributing cloth masks that, like, theater nerd costumers made in their spare time because that's the public health solution. There's a disconnect somewhere in between those two things. And I think it's very important to point that out. That was everything I had to say. Again, thank you very, very much. I love you all. Mic check. Oh, Opal, did you want to talk? She's good.
Mic check, mic check.
Thank you, Abby and Oprah. I love your hair because it's amazing. Thank you, guys. Love you. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic
Can
check.
I say something about it? Kind of relates to Senator Hayes right quick. No disrespect. What? May I say something?
Go ahead.
So, bringing that up, so yes, again, Hopkins is hoarding PPE. They say they're waiting for the peak, and they're holding, I'm telling you, like, and when I say hoard, like, 160,000 is what I'm hearing, like, a huge number. So, on top of the houses, and it's not just about getting people masks and food. Oh, that's the other thing. They're also saying they're starting a food program over east, so don't believe that hype either. It's all, you know, they pick the people they want to support, and they do that, and ultimately, we don't want Hopkins getting the food for us. We should, again, be self-determined so we can, you know, get out of people's way and get it for ourselves, you know, pay taxes. They owe the residents over there money from the Minority Inclusion Agreement, and just to, kind of going off of what you were saying, there's an immediate housing need I just wanted to elevate here that I neglected to bring up, and there's we're working with I wouldn't say working with, but getting basically case management support, because, you know, I'm not just going to give somebody a box of food and if they need help and just walk away. You know, you need a mask, we're going to figure that out. You need detergent, we're going to figure that out. So in volunteering, just like Abby was saying, through the Community Food Project, a lot of other folks, you just find there are a lot of needs that need to be met. And there's one really, really big one I wanted to put out. He's in Antonio Hayes District. He's a really sweet guy. He goes by Mr. Russ. I'm not going to give that government name, but he really needs help bad. He, you know, basically got screwed over so many types of ways. And then when you go to ask for services, they don't even link you up to the right assistance. So he's been going by with like $150 a month in food stamps. Older gentleman, he just recently had a heart attack. And, you know, it's just been unreal, just not as a case manager, trying to connect people through this, you know, messed up government system. So we just, like I said, it's about self-determination, and I'm not waiting for nobody to get nothing for it. So we're working, you know, just to try and get him into housing, because the house is full of mold. Like I said, he had a heart attack and he really needs help. He's one of our seniors, one of our elders. He told me all about how he was working with the Center for Urban Families, trying to get people supported and connected, and he used to do data science. He had a whole bachelor's, and just like people do things dirty, they signed him on a bad lease, and then they came in, robbed him, took his degrees, took everything. But, you know, he still got the knowledge. He's over 60. He still wants to go back to school. He doesn't want to stop working. He doesn't want to get disability. And keep it brief, you know, like I said, I really feel guilty that I didn't bring it up, but if anybody knows anything in Antonio Hayes District, out there, Liberty Heights area, he really want to get out of here, to be honest, because people have done him so dirty in the city. But just, we really need some immediate temporary housing. I know a lot of people do, so that's just on my heart. And hearing y'all talk about over North Ave and where people are at, I know people are connected. And like I said, I found out about what was going on over there, just trying to deliver food. So really encourage people to say, what do you need, more than just what I got on me. And that's what I'm doing, trying to just play it forward, pardon me. And my neighborhood already raised like $400, so it's really, really going well. And just to keep it going, like, we need a place, like an empty place, really anywhere. And not to get off track, and I did anyway, okay, I'll just say all that. And mic check, thank you. Please hit me up if you know of anything.
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mickey check.
Real quick, Dre, did you want to do a volunteer call for the brace giveaway on Saturday?
We'll talk offline.
Oh, okay.
But thank you very much.
Mic check, mic
I
check.
just want to say a word about. Thank you. I want to say a word about May Day. 2 days ago, it was the 5-year anniversary of the uprising, the anger that tremendous anger that flowed out in Baltimore over the killing of Freddie Gray. But this struggle's been going on a long time. In 1965, the first of the big ghetto rebellions occurred in Harlem, in New York City, and the spark was that a cop killed a 14-year-old. And our party, Progressive Labor Party, put signs up all over Harlem saying "Wanted for racist murder, Gilligan the cop," and that began the rebellion of Harlem in 1965. And every night there'd be meetings to plan the activities the next day in the rebellion. And the struggle, as we heard from speakers tonight, unfortunately, we're still losing people to police murder, and this fight is an important fight. Sometimes we forget that for every person murdered by the police, there are about 80 more brutalized by the police who survive. So when they kill 1,100 people a year, they're brutalizing about 88,000 a year. So I just want to say, the day after tomorrow on Friday, it's May the 1st, and May Day originated with the fight for the 8-hour day. Workers gave their lives because police shot into the crowds, and Tawana will be telling you about that on Friday, about the history. And the May Day marches every year are very powerful, and we can't have one this year, but we're going to do it online. And it's 5 o'clock this Friday. I'd like to encourage everybody to tune in right here on Facebook, 5 o'clock. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check, mic check. So I wanted to just talk about very briefly a little piece of Baltimore news. I'm not sure if y'all heard, but yesterday they began tearing down the Lexington Market. They've been planning to do it for a while, but they, of course, decided to do it during the coronavirus when everybody's stuck inside and can't protest. A lot of people have protested they're calling it a remodeling. They're basically gentrifying the Lexington Market. And Seawall is the organization that's behind it. And from what they're planning, it looks like they're going to turn it into an R House or, Mount Vernon Marketplace type deal. And I don't know if any of y'all frequent Lexington Market, but I did. And Lexington Market is a place where you could get like a breakfast sandwich for like $2.20. It was a great place to get food. You could get fresh fruits and vegetables there. There a post of the photos of the demolition that I put up went viral today, and I of course got lots of comments from black people saying that they were really hurt that it's getting ripped down, and a lot of comments from white people saying that they're glad that it's finally happening, and the rats will have to find a new place. Rats and the drug dealers will have to find a new place to be. The reason why Lexington Market has drug dealers and rats is because the city has not been investing in it for a really long time. They parked a methadone clinic directly outside of the Lexington Market, which is something they would never do to our house in Mount Vernon Marketplace. They haven't cleaned it. They haven't put money into the building itself. So it's fallen into disrepair. And when you don't keep something up, it falls into disrepair. And that's how gentrification works. The city will stop investing in a certain part of town, let it fall into disrepair, move the residents out on the guise of keeping things healthy or cleaning things up, and then raise the rent and everything once the place has been rehabilitated. It's going to displace a lot of the vendors. They've moved them into a separate building, but I don't have a whole lot of faith that, number one, the vendors are going to be able to survive in the new environment if they're going to be raising their rents, and two, I don't see them providing any assistance during the pandemic either. I know Fadley's is the only business that has continued to be open. during the demolition. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, and the fact that the powers that be decided to destroy one of the biggest marketplaces in Baltimore, basically creating a food desert in a pandemic. Mic check.
Mic check. And I want to thank you, Van, for bringing that up. Because, see, a lot of folks say, because I shared, like, the picture, and a lot of folks are like, oh, don't worry, they're remodeling. And I'm in my mind like, no, they're not. Y'all just don't understand. And not only are they doing that to Lexington Market, they're actually doing that to Northwood Plaza, Northwood Shopping Center. They had Sonny's Restaurant that everybody knows. When I was going to Marlboro High School, we would always go on our lunch break over to Sonny's and grab some wings and some fries or whatever. But there's a lot that's going on right now that they're kind of sweeping under the rug, and people are just like, oh, they're not doing anything. So I thank you for that very important information that you just shared with everybody.
Yeah, just because we're all inside doesn't mean that the systems of oppression and gentrification have stopped working.
Right.
And on that note, if everyone has a second, I'd like to give a brief update about what I've been working on. I've been investigating and writing about the Housing Authority's treatment of Reverend Annie Chambers and folks giving food out on the ground at Douglas Homes and at public housing. Earlier this month, someone from the Housing Authority threatened Reverend Chambers and her volunteers with arrest and eviction for giving out food. They said that it's illegal for anyone from a non-government organization to give out food at public housing. Of course, Annie Chambers and her team are still doing their thing, so they haven't been directly stopped yet. But this elderly woman, this reverend, who's been, doing food work for decades and decades, is now afraid every day that she's going to lose her house because she's not going to stop feeding her neighbors. So, hopefully the Housing Authority will stop. They have a lot of incentive to stop. Mary Washington started a campaign calling on people to call into the Housing Authority and give them an earful. So it looks like that might have done something. There's an attorney who volunteers at People's Power Assembly, volunteering his services as an attorney, who sent Housing Authority a cease and desist letter. As a result of the Housing Authority making these threats, Living Classrooms had to stop giving food, so they turned away a truck full of food when there was a line of hungry people in front of them. That's the Baltimore City government's response to a food crisis during a pandemic. They're more worried about bureaucratic red tape and the fact that there is literally a truck full of food in front of them and a line full of hungry people. It's ethically inconceivable. It's horrific. But hopefully, the strong response from the community has done enough that they're not going to get away with it. So we'll see what happens. Annie Chambers is still doing her thing, and of course is incredibly brave, and bearing the weight of that fear of being thrown out of her house during a pandemic.
Mic check.
Mic check. And thank you, Go Hard, for doing all the community work and covering everything, reporting the comprehensive news. I just want to give you a big shout out for that. So, do anybody else want to share before we kind of wrap it up? Well, again, I guess everybody's done sharing. So again, I want to thank all the guests that came through and shared. My heart goes out to the moms, the mothers in the movement, the sisters, the daughters, the family members in the movement that are suffering basically a loss, something that can't be replaced. And I don't want you guys to never ever forget while Wes Wansey was born, and it was at the backs of my brother's brutal murder, and not just my brother Tyrone West, but unfortunately all the victims, Anthony Anderson, the list goes on, all the victims before and after my brother. And let's not forget, this week is a very important week. This is when the uprising happened. Let's not forget, even though I know we're inside with the pandemic and whatnot, but never forget what happened to Freddie Gray. Never forget that we never even got any type of accountability. And I wanted to thank Brian for wearing his nice Free Keith Davis Jr. shirt, because we definitely need him to be freed. And right now, my heart goes out to Kelly and Keith Davis Jr., who they know who basically is kind of suffering right now. He never had asthma before the police gunned him down, and he was shot up, gunned down right shortly after Freddie Gray. And that is unfortunately why he's getting mistreated. The unjust stuff is happening to him as we're speaking right now. So I'm praying that Keith Davis Jr., and I'm praying for all like the prisoners that are incarcerated right now that don't have a chance of like fighting this thing off really, because if you're stuck in a square 6 by, you're on a small cell basically, pretty much a small cell, and you have a inmate buddy or whatever, you're stuck there, you're faced to whatever sickness or illness they get. The crazy part, they can't go outside and bring it back in. So the COs, the staff members are actually bringing it into them. And I feel sorry too for the nursing homes. The elderly people, they can't even see their own families, but unfortunately, some staff members that are forced to come out here to, work in a pandemic, and my heart goes out to everybody. So we are real crazy and scary times, but at the end of the day, we got to keep our eyes on what's going on. And I just want to give everybody on here a special thanks, a shout out. And thank you, Ben, for being the man behind the wheels, making everything happen. Just thank everybody. Thanks, Uncle Bill. And again, just thanks everybody. And tuning into us on Friday. And also, I'm going to be a part of a panel on this Friday for Real News. It's going to start at 7. And thank everybody for kind of moving Mayday to 5 o'clock. So if y'all can, I'll share the link. Tune in to on my page for Mayday and Uncle Bill page. We're going to do the Mayday, and then shortly after that, we're going to do the 5-year anniversary for Freddie Gray, and that's going to be live streamed on YouTube due to the Real News Network. So thank you guys again. Love you guys.
Tawanda.
Love to live.
Hey, sis. Tawanda.
Yes.
Hey, I got one thing we had to say that I got a email that I definitely want everybody to understand, and I just want this might be for Brian because he actually does that court release or court watch right down there at Central Booking. Over 10,000 inmates have just been released into Baltimore City with the strand of the virus in them. That's why Hogan and them know they're going to have a high case by the wintertime, because they released and did basically botched tests to where the test will say negative in the system, but they actually have the strand inside of them, and they'll be released into our communities. They're asking all citizens or anyone who come in contact with an inmate is that they shall quarantine in the basements of their family homes or somewhere else before they come in, even if they think or do got it or don't. But right now, 10,000 inmates have been released into our communities with the strand of the virus inside of them as of now.
Wow. Thank you, Brother Boone, for sharing that. That's real important. And these are things you're not going to really hear on the news. That's something we should have heard on the news. But again, the news report only what they want to report on the television. So just keep your eyes open, and thank you, Boone, for that real powerful, sad report, as usual. So I just want to thank y'all. Before I end the program right here, I just wanted to say, and Boone just kind of had made me have a flashback, because I was just thinking about, now, Brother Boone, notice before they said the corona actually got here, quote unquote, because I swear to God, I had the corona. The way every symptom that they had, all 9 symptoms, I had the bad migraine headache. Felt like, they say the way the headache felt, it felt like you was having a stroke. I never had a headache that bad in my whole entire life. I had a high fever of 104.5. They sent me home with a high fever of 102.3. They couldn't break it. I turned up the next day, felt like my whole throat was going to close down, shut down. Then they tried to say, oh, maybe you got strep throat, gave me antibiotics, gave me a Z-Pack, and sent me on way. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. Thank you, Jesus. But anyway, I just want to say, real fast and real important, I noticed before the coronavirus, quote unquote, got here, I noticed it was a lot of brothers and sisters that was just dying in their homes. Like, people were just dying, and they was like, some of them, they were saying, like, they OD, they didn't know the cause of death. It was a lot of young men, for real, that was going in their house, laying down, and their family members find them in the basement, in their bed. Look at that. My gut feeling tells me that Corona been here, and half of those brothers that they reported that died from different medical things. It was a lot of brothers actually dying in their homes. And I even put it up on my sister, Dr. Empress Chi's show. I said, it's a lot. I said, I wonder if something in the air for so many of our brothers and sisters is just dropping dead for some reason. And they ain't giving us no answer. So keep your eyes on everything. And that's all I got to say. Live to love, love to live. I love you all. Do anybody want to share anything before I wrap it all the way up?
No more vaccine taken.
I
No more
disagree. I'm
vaccine.
for vaccines after they've been proven effective. Don't take anything just because somebody tells you. But if the science is there, maybe take the vaccine.
Yeah,
But,
listen to
I love you all.
listen to science, y'all.
Good day.
Twanda disconnected. All right, y'all. We're going to wrap it up here. Peace and love. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Drink your water. Get some good rest. Peace, peace, peace.